Fired up, footballers. Welcome back to another episode of Spitting Fire. Jeffrey and James here with you as always. And I think it was very fitting that Nelson had this recent press conference because we've been blasting Paunovic. So it's nice for us to take our attention away from Pauno and really focus it on the main problem, which is Nelson Rodriguez. So I don't know if you all have been able to watch it, but I recommend it. It was on Facebook, or you can look up the Chicago Fire on Facebook. You can find it there. It's about, what was it, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Nelson had a roundtable discussion with the media. It was about an hour and a half. And it was juicy. It was juicy to say the least.
I would say it's worth the listen, but I felt like I was getting lied to half the time. I was just like straight to my face, just like, wow.
Yeah, and I guess this is where I'll start. So he started off right away, Nelson Rodriguez. He began talking first and foremost about the business side of things. I'm raising an eyebrow about this immediately because, I mean, you think about other GMs in Chicago, Ryan Pace, Theo Epstein, or any of the other ones, would they first talk about
Or Rick Hahn.
Would they talk business? No, they would talk the product on the
Kenny
field.
Williams would talk more business than Rick Hahn, because Rick Hahn's the GM.
Now, and that brings it up, like you said.
And Kenny Williams is the president.
And what is Nelson as well?
He's both.
He's both. So, again, that makes sense why he did talk about the business side. But the main problem I have with that we had with that, is he almost used that business side as a smokescreen. Mm-hmm. He really, really touted it. And from our perspective, sure, hey, it sounds like he's really doing a good job on that aspect. Good for you. Props for you.
Yeah,
but the way that
they got some good grabs.
But do you know what I was trying to say? He was almost using it like a smokescreen.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. Think about you in a press conference. You got a paper that you haven't even finished completing. It's got 60 pages. You wrote 3, but look at But in addition to that, look, you got all your school books. Mm-hmm. You got all your gear. You got your pens, your papers, your backpack. Everything's in order. Everything looks great. Still don't have that 60-page paper that was due 2 months ago. The paper was due 2 months ago. Yeah. Still don't have that paper, but you got all the supplies. You got everything, business-wise. You're all set up. You got the computer. You're good. You can print things. You can write out documents.
Okay.
But you still haven't written the 60-page document.
Yes.
You've got 3 pages done.
Well, and
that's it.
And great analogy, by the way. Wow, great analogy. But I understand what you were saying. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has all. It seems like he himself was touting that he has all these resources.
Yeah, he's even saying Andrew's giving him support.
Andrew's giving him support, and here he is throwing the smokescreen. Hey, business is great. Sure, that's great. And he went on and said that they're a club of choice, actually attracting people, some big names to the club.
Didn't get Philip Lahm. Didn't get Arjen Robben.
He used that as an umbrella term.
Didn't get Zlatan.
To, put in players into there, when really he was touting the business people that he brought in.
They brought in a couple very big, helpful business people. I was talking with a couple people internal at Fire too, and they were just saying that they're high about this guy named Urban. He's going to come in and really help.
First guy he said.
And here's some of the stuff though, is maybe these guys can help take away some of the responsibilities and duties that Nelson is having to tend to with having 2 hats. And, that's going to benefit us in the long run. I mean, right now, and here's the thing. Nelson is put in charge for a reason. He knows probably what's best for a lot of cases in the business. I'll give him that.
Sure.
But he doesn't know how to build a team. He's not a great GM.
No.
And he might be a great president and businessman, getting deals done, working out the deal with ESPN, supposedly. He was high on that. He's really touting that like a thing, although we've also heard reports that said MLS was really the deal collaborator there. And he was saying that ESPN chose us, the Chicago Fire, or was it the ESPN just chose the MLS? There's so many things that were, but I felt like, he was definitely stretching the truth.
Yeah, he was stretching it, and then when he did talk about the football side of things, I mean, it was just vague, and it was incorrect, and I have no idea what he was trying to sell.
If he thinks that Bastian Schweinsteiger is the best player in the world today, he's got...
I actually think he put in the right, and I think that quote got took out of context.
Maybe that's what it did.
I think he was saying for what they were trying to do.
Oh my God! Okay,
then it's a
totally different thing.
I'll give him that.
I thought he was just saying that he thinks that Bastian Schweinsteiger is the best player in the world. I'm like, oh my God! Are you not paying attention to Mohamed Salah or to Messi or to what? And I'm like, then I immediately started questioning his soccer acumen. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's deluded.
Yeah,
But
I think it was a little
if that's the
out
case,
of context.
that would explain
Well,
it.
here's a strike I had. He said multiple times that the team is trending in the right direction. What?
No. I think on the business side they are.
Sure, yes.
Business side they are, and
Sure.
that's what he's talking about. That's what he's touting. Because results-wise, we're not. I'll say, as a team, yeah, we're not moving forward, but
no, it's a big drop.
Think about it's
a big
It's
drop.
not 2015. It's not 2016. You didn't have Schweinsteiger, Dax McCarty, Nikolic.
But from where they were last year and a step forward, that was plan year number 3.
That's
it was
the
supposed
problem.
to be year number 3. All of a sudden, year number 3, the plan got turned into 3 years, 4 years,
6-year plan.
6-year plan, and he's like, he walked that back.
He basically re-signed Pano.
Whoa.
He basically re-signed Pano in the conference too.
Pano's back.
Pano's basically back if Pano wants to be back. If Pano doesn't come back, that'll be an indicator of some issues. But for all intents and purposes, Pano's probably going to be signed for another 3 years, tied at the hip with Nelson Rodriguez. So we're in for another 3 years of these guys.
Gosh.
My question is, do they know soccer? Do they understand what they're doing? Do they actually have a plan? Are they just playing a hodgepodge guessing game of, I can get Bastian Schweiger, I can get a name I know, I'll bring that in. Fernando Torres has a name I know, I can bring that in. And I wonder if his limited amount of soccer knowledge is limiting his ability for understanding player characteristics, positional characteristics, what these... And another question, he said when he's bringing in soccer players, he wants to make sure that first that they work on one level, that they meet family values, that they meet all these values. Peter Vermes just makes sure that they...
It's like Chicago Bears, John Fox stuff.
I think what's more important is bringing in a player who plays a position and gets the job done.
Yes.
Then you don't even have to worry about the extraneous stuff. Because look...
I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's all right.
But I mean, think about just the excuses, the massive amount of excuses.
But then he said there's no excuses.
And then, you walked that back. But then he talked about how they were just unlucky. The team really is better than it is right now. They're unlucky. There's a couple matches that they should have won. And what professional organization talks about that? And you're right. What games was he watching?
We had one game that we should have won, and maybe should have won, and that's the New York Red Bulls game. And it was still very close, right?
Yeah, what was
all
he
the other games were fraught with nail-biting and edge-of-your-seat panic button. And honestly, some of those results we were lucky to get points out of. Some of those results we were lucky to get a tie out of.
Yes.
Some of those results we were lucky to not get blown out of the stadium.
Yeah. So he's saying we're unlucky. If anything, we were lucky. We were lucky on some of the games that we won. So I don't know what he was talking. So the excuses with the luckiness, and then he talked about injuries. Sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You can. Injuries, yeah, I think that did play a role in why we're doing a little bit
Does Michael DeLiuve or Lucho Salniak help this club right now?
Exactly.
Yes, they do a little bit.
But
because the squad is so bare bones. Right now we're at 6 or 7 players. We're trying to get up to 11.
Yeah.
Once you bring those two guys back to the fold, maybe we get closer to 8 or 9 because I didn't count Dax because he was injured at the time. But yeah, he's certainly part of that group.
But here's the thing, is if Nelson really thinks that getting Lucho back, getting MDL back will put them back into playoff contention, he's wrong.
He's wrong.
They're not going to. They're not going to. They're still not good enough. They are not good enough. And the fact that he's trying to sell this team as is, and then sell these, the reason that, hey, we're young, hey, we're injured, that's the reason. That's what he's trying to sell, in that we could be good. I don't believe him. No. I don't believe him. Honestly, when he talked anything about what was going on the pitch, I didn't believe him. You know why?
Yeah.
Because he started talking about weird things like momentum and luck. Where is he talking about skill, tactics, structure? He never mentioned system.
What about a system?
He kept talking about, we need the momentum.
Player characteristics.
We need the momentum. Well, what about other clubs that don't rely on momentum and they actually have clear-cut systems where they try to, implement that from the top up?
If somebody leaves the system, they will bring in somebody who can do that part of the system. And that's how a system works. It becomes a machine at a certain point because everybody has their set jobs. Instead of depending on momentum just to carry you over the edge, you have a machine that is constantly in perpetual motion.
Yeah, it's just like kiddie stuff. Like, I talked to my girls team, my high school girls team, about something like momentum. Like, yes, and I'm not trying to diminish it. I understand that there's an ebb and flow of the game, and that's important. But I guarantee you, Manchester United, Jose Mourinho, is not preaching momentum to his team. Pep Guardiola is not preaching momentum. Barcelona, no, they're saying we're a good team and we're going to do what we do well because this is what we do. These are our tactics. We have our players that suit this, and we're going to run it. And Nelson it's apparent that he is grooming Pano.
He's grooming Pano.
And that is so scary because Pano is,
Not good enough.
Clueless, and now you notice Nelson is clueless. So you got the blind leading the blind, and it's just like
you got the blind leading the blind.
The soccer stuff is so not there.
It's not ancillary, it's critical. They treat it as ancillary, but they say it's critical. They're lying to us. They're not telling us the truth. I got to say, one big positive for Nelson Rodriguez, that took some brass cojones to go out there and take what was basically just a Russian...
shelling.
A shelling.
Like we said in the beginning of the episode.
A fire squad. And he took the battle, and he was playing spin doctor a lot of the time, and that's understandable. But also he had some good answers, I thought. He had some times where he had some good answers. Times where he had pure fluff, where I knew he was lying to. And, as far as grading him on the conference, I thought he did good. I thought at a personal level, he did very well as far as, remaining calm, answering the questions, doing his best to answer the questions as honestly as a general manager of a professional soccer team can do so. But there was also parts, now that was his positives, there were parts where
the soccer
he would take responsibility at one point for the failures of the winter window, and then at a later point, walk it back and say, oh, no, there was no failure. That was part of the plan or something like that. I'm not necessarily saying it was part of the plan, but just saying, it missed, but those weren't failures. There was a couple times where he would say something at one point and then walk it back. There are no excuses, but these are excuses. That's hypocriticalness was, what we really picked up on, what we didn't really like.
It's like the president side of him was good, the GM side was bad. Yes. And I use this analogy with James. Imagine a parent having one child, right? There's an only child. You can sometimes tell if kids are an only child or not, right? It's just different because both parents have all their attention on one kid. Yeah. But as soon as you have another one,
there's one spotlight.
That attention, it gets divided up between two kids, right? So that spotlight gets divided. And I don't care who you are. I guarantee you, Nelson, juggling two of these hats it is affecting him. Like he admitted with the draft. He snuck that tidbit in there.
He admitted that having two jobs impacted his ability to do his main priority job. And that's where I have a problem. If he's going to be our president, I am fine with that. You go for it. You are great with the business decisions. Go from it. Now you have the ability. Now you have the title. Now go find your GM, your general manager, who actually has the soccer acumen and ability to build a soccer team. A Logan Paws. Somebody who's got the know-how of playing and being able to scope players, understand how you build a team, and get in the ear with Pano, get on the same page with Pano, and then start bringing in those types of players.
James, what did you think about his comments when he said Andrew Hauptmann was pressing him a little bit?
I thought that was interesting because, maybe that's him tooting Andrew's horn or trying to support Andrew or trying to give Andrew...
I think he was tooting
That's propaganda. It's like propaganda where he's like, oh, look, we got an owner that holds me accountable.
Is he really, though?
But is he really?
Because he just re-signed you.
He just re-signed you before the end of the 3-year plan, which is failing right now miserably.
And it doesn't make sense because his plan was on track.
And part of the plan...
This year, all they had to do was add.
Yeah.
Add. And his 3-year plan was on track.
He missed.
But now it's like, we need 3 more years. It's like, what?
Now the 3-year plan turned into a 6-year plan.
And he's asking for us to wait.
And now, basically, he's thrown all of Schweinsteiger's ability out the window. Now, he did say that he thinks that Schweinsteiger has another year or 2 left in him. I agree.
Yeah.
But mentally, playing for this team, heck no. It ain't going to happen. Are you kidding me? And go play for Pano, who doesn't have the slightest clue of how to deploy an attacking side and to get an actual shot. And we're close to the last in the league in shots. That is not out of the ordinary for the Chicago Fire under Paunovic.
Mm-hmm. Well, and actually probably one of the lone bright spots besides him talking about the business side was someone asked him a question about a U.S. men's national team job opening up. What are your thoughts about that, James? Apparently, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he pretty much sounded like he wanted that job.
He really sounded like he wanted that job. The way he was talking about it was almost like it was a job interview. He was like, please come save me from this Andrew Hauptmann character.
Save me. Go.
But here's the thing. I don't know if that's a good thing because I got to say, Nelson, for all intents and purposes, for every sling and arrow we could throw at him, I do believe that he cares about this club, not just about his job. I do believe that he cares about getting the Chicago Fire into a better place. He said that in his conference. He says he wants to leave Chicago in a way better place than he found it. I believe him on that. He says he would love to go far as to make a legacy. Yeah. He's going to need time and a lot more better decisions to get to that point. But to hear those platitudes, you got to think that this guy is on our side. And he might not be the best advocate for the fans or anything like that, but he is doing what he can to take what he has up to Andrew Hauptman. And he says, if they need to overspend on a player and he needs to go to Andrew Hauptman, he has no qualms about going up to him and learning that the answer is no.
See, that's great, but like at the same time, for me being selfish, I don't want a developmental GM here. I don't want a developmental coach here. Go somewhere else where you can do that.
Go to USL.
Go to the USL. These guys are USL level, not the MLS. I mean, come on. There's so much fluff there. I mean, it's just what he was trying to sell with the pitch. Not good. The business side of things, good. I have a couple other notes
here. Did he utter the words world-class organization at any point in this conference?
He might have. I don't.
Because that's always his vaunted goal.
I have a couple notes. ESPN Plus.
You should start with all these. Go through all these.
I pretty much said them all. I pretty much think I said
it. Make sure you
he kept mentioning his 3-year plan, but he never said, what? So he kept saying the 3-year plan. What about
the 3-year plan? Michael Harrington, 3-year plan.
What about it? Talked about the excuses. Pano staying. Wants attackers. So transfers.
Pano is staying. Pano's locked in for 3 years. Basically knocked at the hip.
Yep.
And like you said, developmental coach. What were you saying here, though?
Transfers. Apparently he wants competition at goalkeeper and defense. He said competition at those spots. And then it sounds like he wants to bring in one more attacker to add some depth up there. Not depth, but a real quality
guy. He just wants one attacker.
Yeah.
We need two.
We need a team. We need one more winger. We need like 3 more wingers to like round out our whole winger pool. We need like 3 cams
to round out our cam pool.
It's like, oh my God.
But he needs one playmaker up top. Yeah. I don't mind the center back challenging, bringing a guy who could challenge Lillard, but I really want Lillard to develop, or challenge Kapelhoff even. Challenge Richard, sure, that's fine, but I still want Richard developing, but if a player comes in that's better than Richard, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, we need better quality on the field all around, and he failed miserably about adding quality and aided tremendously into taking away quality from the team by trading away David Accam way too soon.
Yeah, the trade... I mean, let's just put it this way. We've said it quite a bit. Maybe we can end with this.
You got so much
regression. More not really. I mean, I pretty much talked about this. He gave the team an overall C grade.
Dude, what's your grade for the team? I think C's actually. I saw people having issue with the C grade. Coming from Nelson, I think it's almost a fair assessment.
There's so many young kids.
You don't want to say it's a failure.
There's so many young kids. And there's injuries. I'll give the players some credit.
Is it a D?
I'll give them a C. I'll give the players a C.
I could give them a C.
I can't give Pano
a
better grade than that.
Okay, let's do that.
Gets a different grade. Pano gets like a D.
Players getting a C performance. Pano's getting a D performance. And I got to say, Nelson's getting an F performance because you failed miserably in that 50%. Winter window. You failed. And I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe the overall grade is brought up to a C with the whole rest of the team because there's a lot more players than there is Nelson Rodriguez. But that's my explanation of the grade.
He made some weird comment too, like, "Oh, teams better kill us off now because we're coming." What the hell? What?
So he wants them to end the Chicago Fire season as quickly as possible, so we don't have to bring in any guys in the summer window. We could just start planning for the future. I don't know.
It just seems
that's such a weird statement. Or killing us earlier in the beginning of games because we're not good enough.
It's just like what? Like
we're not good enough.
What world-class sports organization talks like that?
He doesn't recognize the fact that we're not good enough. He says it, but he doesn't recognize it. And he's living in a delusion, and that's where I'm having an issue with this guy. He's living in I don't think Paunovic is living in a delusion. Paunovic is just not good enough.
I mean, you're right. He's either delusional,
but he's
wrong,
deluded,
or he's just lying to us.
He thinks that this team is better than they are, or that they just missed.
He does.
There's not a single person who actually probably believes that, not even on the team. No, I think that the team is C, average. I mean, maybe we get a couple more results. But Paunovic shouldn't need this much time to get these results in order. This should have already been sorted.
That's what doesn't make sense. So it's year 3.
It's year 3, and we're seeing these issues.
And they were set up.
These are year 1 issues.
They were so close.
Yes.
To be on target for that year 3 and that win in the championship.
And they're in year 1 issues now.
And now they're...
But now, in addition to the year 1 issues, you have the headache of having a player of the quality of Bastian Schweinsteiger, Nikolic, that have to deal with this headache and deal with the lack of quality all around them.
There's no way when they sat down with these guys and said
when you tried recruiting
when they recruited them that this is what they signed up for.
No way.
They definitely said, hey, by year 3, year 4,
this
team's going to be humming. We're going to be rocking and rolling. You're in our piece. We're bringing you now. Just sit with us. And
you lied to them just as much as you lied to the fans.
Yeah. So I mean, it's. I don't know.
I gotta say, if it's 30% of the 30% of the press conference I thought was good.
The business,
and that was the business part, and there were some good aspects to hear. And from a business fan, which I'm not, that's great. I'm a Chicago Fire fan. And it's good to hear that the Chicago Fire business side is doing good, but the Chicago Fire pitch side is what the results that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the bottom line. I'm not looking at your ink in the red. I'm not looking at how much money you're pulling in and out. I'm not looking at the big time executives that you guys are able to hire. I'm looking at the results on the pitch. The same results that you are saying are not good enough, but yet somehow are.
Yeah. But hey, remember, he hasn't been here for the 9 years.
Delusion.
He hasn't been here for the 9 years, so that the fans have been struggling.
But he counts the Manchester United game as a feather in his cap, which happened 7 years ago. Andrew Hobman. Andrew Hobman's the owner for the past 7 years. Andrew Hobman let this team go to just to crap. I don't want to swear. Just to crap, and Nelson had to pick up the pieces. Nelson had to basically go into a dumpster, dive into a dumpster, pull out the skeleton of Chicago Fire, and rebuild it from there.
Well, no, that's not the issue, James. The issue is he did rebuild it.
He did.
He just unbuilt it.
But by
he unbuilt it. He was there. The step was there.
His lack of activity in this season basically let that whole thing let rot set in. Let rot creep in, and now it's like, oh my God, now we know pull out good parts
going
that are rotting around.
And he wants to talk about momentum. He killed all the momentum.
Killed the momentum of last season.
He killed the momentum of last year.
Into a brick wall.
Let's end this here though. Let us know what you guys think.
Let us know what you guys thought of Nelson's press conference. What did you think of would you give the Nelson a grade? What's Nelson's grade? What's this team's overall grade? What's Chicago Fire's grade for this season so far, in your opinion? Is it a C? Is it a D? Is it an F? Like we said before, we think it's kind of a juxtaposed position between all 3 of those. It really depends who you're grading. See you guys later. Toss a like if you enjoyed the analysis. Add your comments down below and subscribe for more Spitting Fire. Check us out on Twitter, at JGuy the Guy, and I'm Spitting Fire. I don't know what I am.
Fire Engine.
Find him, you'll find me, whatever it is.
All right, later, guys.
Later.